Oh my goodness, I can relate to that, right? You're like, oh, this has been so great, we should get together, and then you actually start to put the calendars and figure it out. Unfortunately, it can be true. It's so good to be here. My name's Christine Meggison. For those of you who I haven't met, I'm really glad that you're here tonight. And before I jump in, I wanted to just say, I was so touched by the band and the music tonight, and what you were saying, Heather, about Jesus being our best friend. Because that's how I came to know Jesus. When I was in junior high, you know how it goes with junior high, and you're in with the friend group, and then you're out with the friend group. Well, I was on the outs with the friend group. And I came to church, and the speaker happened to be talking about how Jesus is your best friend. And how he's never going to let you down, he's never going to kick you out, and he's always going to love you and accept you, and you're always in with him, and he wants to be your friend. And I was like, I am in on this guy. I am 100% in on that. And so it just hearkened that, stirring that up in my heart and remembering and how true it is. And as we talk about friendship tonight, we keep that as kind of the core, right? Our center of being reminded that even if we feel like we're in a season where friendships are hard or we have a lack of friendships, maybe we've come into a new place in town or a new season in life or with kids, and we're sorting our way through with the friendship things, just being reminded that Jesus is there with us, right? So my name's Christine Meggison, like I said. I have 3 kids. One is almost 12, one is 10, and one is 7. 2 boys, a girl stuck in the middle. And my husband and I have been married for 14 years, and yesterday was the anniversary of the first email that he sent me. So if you're doing the math on that, I just said we've been married 14 years, and yesterday was the first email that he sent me. So let's just say the email, and 4 months later we were engaged, and 4 months later after that we were married. So it was an 8-month whirlwind, and I mean, it stuck. We're still together. It worked out. So that's just a little bit about me. I work at home, and I've found that I'm really, really poor at balancing work and home life. If you can relate to that at all, it's a tug of war for me. Being at home and being in both of those spaces can be a tug of war. But I do speaking and writing and have launched into this whole world, even since I spoke here at MOMetnum last, of blogging and podcasting. So I was just talking to Celeste, and we just met, and she's like, but I feel like we're friends because I listened to your podcast. Just so great. So the podcast is called Straight from the Heartland, and my girlfriend Stacy, raise your hand, Stacy. Okay, so Stacy, and then some of you know Sarah Lubach because she speaks here at MOMetnum too, but she couldn't tonight because she's speaking at another thing. The 3 of us do the podcast. We started it in February. We're like 12 episodes in and winging it every step of the way. I may still have to finish editing the podcast that comes out tomorrow, so I'm going to do that when I get home. But it's been super fun. We just talk about mom stuff, women stuff, friend stuff, girl stuff. Imagine if you were going to get together with your girlfriends and have a cup of coffee. That's what it is. If you're going to go out for happy hour, that's what it is. So we talk about all kinds of different things. We'd love for you to check it out. And in fact, Mary said it was fine for me to do a shameless plug because 2/3 of the people in the podcast speak here for free, so I said, can I talk about this? So anyway, I just wanted, okay, so this is a moment where normally they say, put your phones away, but I'm going to actually say, if you have your phone, pull your phone out, and I'm giving you a chance to win prizes. This is what I'm telling you, okay? So involved with your phone, but this is partially because Sarah just had her birthday, and I'm a big fan of presents and gifts and surprises, and it was just Sarah's birthday, so we're celebrating that, and we're celebrating and saying thank you to you guys, because so many of you are already listening to the podcast, and we're super appreciative, but there's prizes. So here's what you're going to do. Okay, on the board. You can win a prize. Okay, so there's 2 Facebook pages that I'm bringing to your attention. One's Straight from the Heartland. So if you have your Facebook app on your phone, you can search for Straight from the Heartland. It looks like that. I took that picture today. And there should be a link there that says, MOMetnum friends, thanks for finding the podcast. You can like the page. You can share it if you want to. You can not like the page at this point. We just wanted you to know about it. And then comment on the post that I put there this afternoon. And everybody who comments is thrown in the drawing, and I'm going to give away a prize later. The other one is my speaker author page. Look, that's me. this fall, standing up here at MOMetnum, I'm going like this. So don't you feel like we're just like simpatico with this picture from before? So same thing on that one. There's a post there that says, MOMetnum friends, like this, share it if you want, leave a comment. The comments are what I'm going to be looking for. So if you have your phone and you want to do this because you want to be entered into the prize drawing, by all means. If you don't give a rip, this is just a moment for you to just sit back and just take a deep breath and enjoy yourself. But I'm all about prizes and giving away presents and saying thank you. So that's what that is all about. Okay, let's get on with the talk, though. So what I mean is when you get done doing that, you need to put your phone away. Okay, so in the garden, back in the garden, God said, it is not good for mom to be alone. Okay, you may have said it's not good for man to be alone, but I'm pretty sure he meant it's not good for mom to be alone. And I'm not talking about your kids not letting you go to the bathroom by yourself or take a shower without them. Because we need alone time. Moms need some alone time. But I think what we're talking about is it's not good for moms to mother alone, to be doing motherhood on their own, because God has created us to be in relationships. So this is whether you're married or not. We need friends. We need encouragement as moms. We need sanity. We need help. We need a break. We need people who are willing to look us in the eyes and say, you're a good mom, because goodness sakes, that small army we have created, not on a regular basis, do they look at us and just say, Mom, I just want to say thank you for your discipline and the boundaries that you set for me in my life. I appreciate that. Very rarely do they say, I know today you picked up groceries and you did laundry and you helped me finish my school project and you made sure my uniform was clean, and I just want to say, you're the best, right? We don't get a lot of maybe positive feedback from the little people in our lives. So sometimes we need moms who are going to be willing to look us in the face and say, you're a good mom. What you just did right there, I know it was hard. I know you feel mean. I know they're mad at you right now, but you are doing a great job. Keep it up. So we need one another. So our verse for MOMetnum this year, it's going to be up on the screen, is Romans 12:2. So this is a verse that from the beginning of September all the way through we've been using it. And we use it as sort of the center of our messages and the way that we're looking at the world differently. So why don't you read it with me? It says, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. So we've been talking, you'll notice the MOMetnum gal on the run. She's got a butterfly because we've been talking a lot about transformation, changing the way we think, changing the way we approach things, maybe going counter to what the world is telling us as women and as moms. And so we're going to be looking at that tonight as it deals with friendship, mother friendships, mom friends, and just mothering in community. Because what my experience has been, you can tell me if you agree or we can, if you disagree, we can talk about that after, but in my experience, the world doesn't really inspire us to do motherhood in community. It feels like we're pressured and then praised for trying to do it all on our own. So we're told that we need to be everything for our children as moms, and we need to provide all that they need. And we feel that pressure, and then we're praised if we're at one single instance in the day getting it right. So we should cook for them and clean for them, we should carpool, we should teach, we should discipline, and we should entertain them all on our own. That's our job, we're their moms. That's what the world is telling us. And that if we should ever rely on another mom, well, then we need to pay back that favor, right? In baked goods, preferably, for me. And like multiple favors. We feel that pressure, right? Like, oh gosh, she picked up my kid from school, and so I owe her, and I need to, make sure that I do something back for her. That's what the world tells us. And the world also tells us that we should be so consumed with our children that we don't have time for any other relationships in our life. That if we haven't met those friends before we had kids, well, it's over. There's no time to make new friendships because these little people consume all our time. That's the world tells us. And we need to be focused on them and pouring in them. And then we don't have time for ourselves to meet and have relationships ourselves. But we're not trying to copy the patterns of the world, right? Or the behaviors. This is what the verse is reminding us. Not to copy that and not to listen to that, but instead be transformed. Why and how? By the way we think. We're called to do it differently. Okay, because these messages that the world tells us, they add on pressure to be doing more and have more expectations on us as mom, right? Versus lighten the load, which is what mothering in community does. The world encourages isolation and self-reliance versus belonging in community. Okay, so we're looking here at Romans 12:2, but I'm going to skip ahead and read a few more verses here because it continues on and it ties into what we're talking about. So we're reminded not to copy the behavior of the world, but be transformed the way we think. Then we'll know God's will for us. It goes on. It says, just as our bodies have many parts and each part has a special function, so is it with the body of Christ. I love this line. We are many parts of one body and we all belong to each other. He's talking about us as fellow believers belonging to one another. We belong, like I belong to you and you belong to me. So the song goes, right? So then it goes on. It talks in verses 6 through 8, it talks about how God has given us different gifts for doing certain things well. So he's saying if he's given you the gift of prophesy, do that. If he's given you the gift of serving, then serve. If you're a teacher, teach. If your gift is to encourage others, be encouraging. If it's giving, give generously. So we begin to see, oh gosh, here's my role, here's your role, here's her role, and where we kind of fit together. It says if you have a gift for showing kindness to others, do it gladly. Then it goes on. Verse 9, don't just pretend to love others. Really love them. Hate what's wrong. Hold tightly to what is good. Love each other with genuine affection. Take delight in honoring each other. Never be lazy, but work hard. Serve the Lord enthusiastically. Rejoice in our hope. Be patient in trouble. Keep on praying. When God's people are in need, you can say when God's moms are in need. Now I lost my place. When God's moms are in need, be ready to help them. Always be eager to practice hospitality. Hebrews 10 has verses there too about coming together and joining together. Starting in verse 23, it says, let us hold tightly without wavering to the hope we affirm, for God can be trusted to keep his promise. Let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good deeds. How much do I need you in my life motivating me towards love and good deeds towards my kids? Because if it's up to me day by day, and if it's up to me to be finding that source, okay, Jesus, help me to have love and good deeds, I'm good till about 10 a.m. And then I need a friend to be like, okay, we're going to give you a little break here so that you can come back and have some love and good deeds later, or whatever. Okay, so we encourage one another towards love and good deeds and not neglect meeting together, having time for those relationships. As some people do, but encourage one another on, especially now that the day of his returning. We encourage each other in our faith. We encourage each other in our mothering. That's what community is about. That's what faith is about. So, what's the solution? Not copying the behavior of the world. What's the solution? How do we change the way that we think? It's community. It's friends. It's finding your tribe. It's finding your people, your motherhood, right? Okay, so here's why it's important. It's about leaning on your friends because you need them. We need that help. We need that encouragement to be a better mom. And so it might be car rides and meals and childcare. It might mean they have a great technique that worked for them when their toddler daughter wouldn't stay in bed at night, and now you have a toddler daughter who won't stay in bed at night, and so you are like, sister, I need to know everything about that. And you hope that's going to work on your daughter, right? Maybe it's those friends that we need because they're going to be praying for you, or maybe they're going to be praying for your kids. It's about that monthly girls' night out, or maybe it's that Bible study that gives you much needed time out of the house, right? We need that camaraderie that friendship, that community, that belonging, knowing that we have a place. As women, as friends, not just as moms, not just as wives, but where we have friendships. So if you were here a year ago, April, in MOMetnum, we were talking about mothering and community and relationships and stuff then. I was talking about that. So I was thinking about that talk, and I gave a ton of tips and techniques for, meal swaps and carpooling and, whatever, you name it, all kinds of different things that you could try and do and ways that you and your community can just come together and help each other out. And so if you're interested in that, you can just go back through the women's Facebook page and you'll find the link and do that. But I got to thinking this time that there was something that I'd add. And so here's what I'd add. Not only is mom friendships and mom relationships and community as a mom good for you, it's important for you, encouraging you. But let me throw this out. I also believe it's really good for your kids. You having friendships with other women who encourage you as a woman, who encourage you as a mom, it's really, really good for your kids. Because not only are they benefiting from, that you're being motivated toward love and good deeds towards them, that we mentioned before, but they also have the opportunity at its highest and best, okay? Mom friends, at their highest and best, their potential is that your kids just gained more moms. Your kids just got more godly, amazing women to love them and pray for them and encourage them and punish them, get them in line. But all of a sudden, now we have this community of people loving your kids. Proverbs 11, verse 14 says, without wise leadership, a nation falls. There is safety in having many advisors. So, okay, if you're like me, have you ever come to your wit's end with one of your kids? You're like, it doesn't matter what I say or what I do. This kid is not listening, not behaving. I don't know. I've tried the nice mom. I've tried the mean mom. I've tried everything and just nothing. And then this friend of yours happens into the situation and says the exact same things and does the exact same things that you've been doing for weeks, and it's like the light bulb comes on for your kids and they're like, "Love, this is the most brilliant woman I've ever heard in my life." And you're like, right, this is what I've been saying, but it's coming out of the mouth of not mom. It doesn't matter who, it's not their mom coming through. And so suddenly now they're paying attention, and it makes sense, and the light bulb's going on, and this is so wise, you're so right, mom figure person, I always joke with my friends, I'll raise your kids if you'll raise mine. Because I also find that in my own life, I'm a lot more patient, and I'm a lot more understanding, and I'll try the extra, tactic or technique with other people's kids than with mine. I'm just get in line. You need to just pull it together. We're ready here, okay? I'm less patient there. So when we have lots of advisors in our kids' lives, then they have that benefit of having people pour into them and love them and encourage them. So my son, who's the youngest, he's 7. He's in first grade, and his teacher's here. He has the most amazing godly teacher this year, and I'm so blessed by that. And so she knows him. This was when he was 4, so 3 years ago. And he was having just such a sweet moment where he's like, "Mommy, you're the best mommy. You're just so great. And I love you, Mommy." And I was like, "Oh, I love you too." And I was like, "I'm the number one mom." I'm thinking, well, of course I am. I'm his only mom. So I'm like, "I'm the number one mom." And he was like, "Number one? Yeah, no. Miss Stacy's number one, but you're number 2. And I would have been upset if number 1, didn't remember that he's 4, okay? And number 2, number 2 is not that far down the list. So we could have said 10. That would have been worse. But also because I remember that it's a value to me that my kids would have many advisors, that they would have people in their life who know them and love them and encourage them and teach them and mold them and pray for them. And besides just me and my husband, I mean, me and my husband is great, but that's two people. Maybe you throw in grandparents if they love Jesus and they are into prayer. Okay, but what if you have this whole group of moms and girlfriends who love your kid? Like, even when they're misbehaving, they're like, I love that kid. He's the best. Who understand them and know them and how they tick and how they work. And I mean, besides my husband and I know Stacy's an incredible mom. So after him and me, like, of course, she's like tops of the list of, I would want him to say, she's number one mom. We need that for our kids. I think some of it, what keeps us holding back with that, though, is that it means we have to get past this hurdle that we can and that we should be all things for our kids. That it's up to us and it's up to us alone. We forget those verses that I read from Romans where it's talking about if you have this gift and that gift and this gift or that gift. We don't realize that, I bring something to my kids' table. I'm going to do my best, but there's going to probably be gaps. And those gaps might be filled in really great by a girlfriend or another mom in my kid's life. And kids are made for community. I mean, gosh, think back when our grandparents were growing up. It was really common for them to have, if not living with them, but like within a mile of one another, grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins. Like that's all they knew was growing up in community. Where if they'd got in trouble and did something wrong, they knew they weren't just like dealing with mom and dad at the end of the day. Like they had a whole slew of people parenting them. It's a whole community. And I'm not telling you guys that you have to give like every person in your kid's life permission to parent them. I think you have wisdom to know who God's called to be in that role. But one of those messages that the world tells us, the world says, don't mess with my kid. Nobody has a chance to mess with my kid except for me. Instead of, what if we change the way we think to say, man, I have a really incredible group of godly, amazing people who can pour in and love and pray for and care for my kids, and we see it that way instead. So case in point, my girlfriend Heidi's here too. Where'd she go? Okay, gosh, I didn't see you. I'm not used to your haircut still. Okay, so this was a couple months ago. Our sons are in the 5th grade, and they had the movie. So the 5th grade Birds and the Bees movie. I wrote about it on my blog. I wrote a letter to them, so you can check that out. But so they had the movie, and so